breastfeeding, obviously your nipples are going to be sore because they've never been sucked on oh so much. Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name's Holly. Today I wanted to talk to you guys about my breastfeeding journey and just some tips and tricks I've learned along the way. You made it through pregnancy, you made it through labor, you made it through birth, and now you get to breastfeed your child if that's what you're choosing to do. I love breastfeeding to a point. I think it is a great and magical thing. I think it's amazing that we can make a baby and then nourish that baby for as long as we'd like. There are so many amazing things about breastfeeding, and I just wanted to start off this video by saying yes, fed is best. Obviously, you need to do what is best for you and your child, and every situation is going to be different. And so there is no mom guilt, there's no shame here. I just am wanting to do a video on breastfeeding and how I've gone on my own breastfeeding journey and what has helped me get through it, because it is not always easy. It really is not. Being a mom is really, really hard. And the more experiences I've had being a mom, the more I'm just like, yeah, I would never judge another mother for what they're doing, because everyone's just trying to do their best for their kids and for their families. In case you didn't know some of the benefits of breastfeeding, I just wanted to go through a couple that I really love. First off, when you're nursing and your baby happens to be sick, they will be able to get your antibodies to them. So your body can tell that your baby is sick through the saliva on your breast, which is just amazing. And so it'll send out antibodies through your milk to help make your baby feel better, which I just think is so cool. Your milk is also, in the beginning, more like a drink of water for your baby. So it has a lot less fat and it is more liquid, and it's really quenching their thirst. And then as they keep eating, it's going to be like a meal progression. It's just so cool. So they're going to keep going. It's going to get fattier. And as they keep going to the very end, if they are like really lingering on, it's going to be like a dessert. Like, it is going to be full of fat for your little baby, full of really good nutrients. And so sometimes I feel like I want to quit nursing early. I'm like, okay, you're done now. But if they're still nursing, like, let them get that dessert. Let them get that full fat milk and really take it all in. The last benefit I wanted to talk about is that you are less likely to get breast cancer if you nurse, which is just so cool. There are really so many more benefits. I would recommend looking them up, because when you're nursing and you're in the thick of it and it's really difficult, sometimes knowing all of the benefits that you and your baby are going to receive can really be helpful. I have 2 little boys, and I breastfed my first for 13 months, and I am on like 3.5, 4 months for this baby. So I feel like quite a bit of experience when it comes to nursing. And honestly, it isn't always something that I have loved. I feel like moms will often talk about, you know, like the love that they feel when they are nursing their babies and just like how much they enjoy it. And that really honestly isn't me. I think nursing is great. I do it because of the benefits that my baby and I receive. And honestly, I'm a little bit lazy, and I think formula for me and my family is going to be more work than just nursing. So both of my kids were jaundiced when they were born, which means they had high levels of bilirubin. And a lot of times what can help that is pooping all of that bilirubin out while their livers are still developing and just like, you know, kicking into function. So obviously what helps a lot with pooping for the baby is eating. And when you are first, you know, getting your milk in and everything, you really don't have a lot, like those first few days when it's just colostrum. Colostrum is so good for your little babies, you guys. It cleans out their whole digestive system. It really helps with their bacteria and everything. Like there's so many benefits for colostrum, and it's exactly what your baby needs. But when my babies were jaundiced, they just needed more. So with my first, I was terrified to give him anything but my breast milk, and like anything but my breast, really, because I had heard so many horror stories where it's like, oh, you start giving them formula or you start giving them a bottle and they're not going to be able to breastfeed. And I wanted to breastfeed so bad. So I was really nervous and really hesitant. So with my first, I honestly just like fed and fed and fed as much as I could. It was extremely stressful. I had tons of mental breakdowns. You could just ask my husband. And I really felt just a lot of anxiety and shame, and it was just a crazy thing. And honestly, that anxiety from having to nurse my baby is still like lingering on with my first son. So I'm still worried about his weight gain and stuff like that, like to this day. I think that could honestly have been alleviated a little bit if I would have just given in a little and found a medium balance like I did with my second, because when I found out my second was again jaundiced, I knew I could not do the same thing I did with my first. And so I really fed him obviously as much as I could, and I had a little bit more experience this time, so it wasn't quite as bad, but I also gave him formula, and I gave him a bottle after every, I don't know, couple of feeds, so like a couple times a day, just to make sure that he was getting as much milk as he possibly could so that he could really flush out that bilirubin from his system. And it was so much less stressful. I can't even tell you guys, like I really wish I would have gone back and done that with my first, because I felt so much better about it. And he is like a great breastfeeder. Like honestly, like my first struggled with breastfeeding and my second was awesome. Like even though he took those bottles and that formula in the beginning, he now is great. Like there's no nipple confusion, there's no like flow issues. So I will say I did, like, you know, I used slow flow nipples. I always made sure to like take breaks when I was like feeding my little newborn. I really think once you make it past the first 6 weeks, you can breastfeed for honestly as long as you'd like, as long as you keep your supply up. That's what I did. Once I got to those 6 weeks with my first, I just kept breastfeeding until like 12 months. And then after 12 months, I was still nursing him, but I was trying to wean him off, and it took about like a month to wean him off. And then with this baby, we're going strong. We're at almost 4 months now. So I have really enjoyed nursing a lot more this time around than I did with my first. And I think it's because I'm way less stressed about it. And honestly, it gives me a break from my first baby, because I'm like, oh, sorry, I gotta nurse. Like, hey daddy, you take the oldest and I'm gonna nurse this baby and sit here. Which is really nice. All right, so on to some tips and tricks for you guys. Things that I've learned as I have come along nursing. The first is to take it one day at a time at the beginning, because that beginning is so hard. You're recovering from labor, you're recovering from delivery, you have a brand new baby. There were so many days in the beginning where I was like, I'm done, I can't do it anymore, this is so stressful. And so really I'd be like, okay, if I can make it this one day, I'll see how tomorrow goes. And I think that was so helpful for me, instead of being like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can do this for a year. I don't know if I can do this for, 3 months. Like I can't. It was just a lot easier to be like, okay, I can do it for today, and I don't know about tomorrow, but we'll just see. And I would go like that day by day until eventually I was like, okay, I think I can make it for another week. Like I'm gonna just plan on a week, and then after a week, if I'm done, I'm done. Anyway, and I kept going that way until I made it, a year. Honestly, once you reach 6 weeks, I feel like you and your baby have it down, and you can really go for as long as you'd like. The next tip I have is to see a lactation consultant. That lactation consultant with my first was so helpful. I saw them in the hospital, and then I saw them 2 other times within the first month. And it was so helpful because I fed my baby, and then we weighed him before I fed him and after, and then I saw exactly how much he was eating, making sure he was getting enough milk. And it was just so helpful to have her tips, making sure that his latch was good and everything like that. And so I really suggest seeing a lactation consultant, especially if you're having issues. So in the beginning, obviously your nipples are going to be sore because they've never been sucked on oh so much. And I really found that making sure that your latch is good is so important. If it's hurting you guys, the latch is not right. Breastfeeding really shouldn't be like super painful, except for when you very first have your baby and you have like those after pains, like those cramps, and like that will hurt for like, I don't know, like 30 seconds, and then that'll go away as time goes on as well. But if it's like hurting throughout your whole feed, your latch is off, there may be a tongue tie or a lip tie or something like that. When you're nursing your baby, let's say you're like holding on like this and you have them up, is to bend your knee, and this works a lot better if you're like leaning against something, but you bend your knee and then hold your baby there with your leg instead of using all your arm strength. So it's like if I'm sitting on the couch, I'm gonna like put my leg up and like use my leg, like push my leg up against my arm. And so it's a lot less stressful on your arms, and your legs are obviously a lot stronger. So this has been like my favorite nursing position ever. When your baby bites you, because if you nurse past the time that they have like some teeth, you want to like pull them off you, and like, but don't pull them away from you, pull them in. It freaks them out and they can't breathe like for a second. And so then they let go so that they can breathe through their mouth. And when they let go, then they're letting go. If you like are pulling them off and they are like biting down, it tears you. So that's not good. Bring them in instead of out. when they bite. Sometimes when you're trying to nurse your baby, they decide to be real fussy, and so they won't really latch, they're mad, whatever. If you pat their bums really hard, not really hard, if you pat their bums for a bit and just like get them focused on something else, a lot of times they'll like just like naturally latch on because they're focused on like getting like patted, if that makes sense. And so a lot of times if they're fussy, that really helps me to get them to latch, is I just like keep patting them, and eventually they'll like focus on that and then won't be as focused on the latching thing or like why they're mad for some reason, and they'll just like latch on and start eating and then calm themselves down. If you ever feel like your milk supply is dropping, drink tons and tons of water, and also eat oatmeal with flaxseed. I had that every day for like a month when I was feeding my first son because I felt like my supply was dropping, and I felt like that really helped get my supply back up. And oatmeal is obviously good for you as well, and also good for weight loss. So, and add that flaxseed in there. I feel like that was really helpful. I also wanted to throw in that it's very normal to have one overproducing breast, and oftentimes it's gonna get lopsided. One of my boobs is a lot bigger than the other boob, and you know what? That's okay, it's normal. It produces a lot more milk, and I try so hard to really even it out and to make sure that I'm not favoring the one side that makes more milk, because then it just makes the problem even worse. So really make sure if you have a breast that is overproducing that you're still working that other breast, because it's gonna get more and more lopsided, you guys. So just keep switching it back and forth. Try to remember when you switched it. I used an app called Baby Tracker when my first was born, and I really liked it for the first little while. I got obsessed with it with my first. I was like, okay, I need to be feeding every 3 hours on the dot, and I need to be feeding for 20 minutes on each side, and it just, oh my gosh, it was so bad. So with my second, I just used it for a month because I feel like it is helpful in the beginning to really get down a schedule and get down like what you're doing, and help you not have to remember when you fed your baby last. But after a month, like, I feel like he lets me know when he's hungry, and I don't have to worry about it as much. I just kind of keep track in my head a little bit, and then when he seems hungry or fussy, I feed him. So I just feel like that was a lot more a lot easier for me in that way. All right, so now I'm going to be talking about some products that really helped me in my breastfeeding journey. And the first is this nipple balm. So this is Earth Mama organic nipple butter, and I really liked it because it is organic and I can put it on my breast, and if my baby decides he's hungry 10 minutes later, it's gonna be fine because it can go in his mouth. I would highly recommend just starting using this from the very beginning, like get ahead of it, because if you're behind it, then obviously you're going to have some hurt nipples as they toughen up while they get sucked on like crazy. My next products that I really like are these reusable nursing pads. So you put these in your bra, and if you happen to leak, you're gonna be all good. I use them at night too, because sometimes your baby goes longer stretches at night, and then all of a sudden you wake up and your breasts are super engorged, full of milk, and they would have been leaking. Sometimes I do get a little spillage on the bed, but if I have these in place, usually I'm pretty good. When I'm nursing, I lift my shirt up and then pull my nursing bra down, and so if I have this in my bra, I will tuck it over my bra as well, and that way it catches a lot of the spillage and leaking from your baby. So that's been great as well. And then I have the haakaa. I don't have it with me right now, but I'll insert just like a picture of it. But it's just a silicone nursing pump. I feel like a lot of people have talked about these now, like everybody used them, and I didn't start using mine until like a few weeks after I had my first baby. I had no idea about it, and so I think they've gotten really popular, which is great because they were so helpful for me. I just had the one, and you know, I put it on one side while I was nursing on the other. It would catch on my letdown, and just like if I was engorged, it was really helpful because my baby couldn't drink all this milk. And I got a stash like picked up really quickly without having to pump, and I hate pumping. You guys, I don't know, if you like pumping, like I would way rather nurse than pump, because pumping is hard. It's double the work. You gotta clean out all the stuff, and then you still gotta feed your baby with the bottle. Like, you also feel like a cow. Come on, you guys. Pumping sucks, and I'm really glad I just have this haakaa. I can stick it on one side, feed on the other. I don't even have to worry about it, and I still got a milk stash. Lastly, I just wanted to talk about my favorite nursing bras. So this is a sleep nursing bra. I really like it because it's comfy, and it was really great to have in the hospital. Yeah, so sleep nursing bra, comfy. Second is one of these. I just got them on Amazon. They're super cheap, and they just unclip. And it's like a pack of 3, and I like them because they're cheap, and you know, if you spill milk all over them, it's fine, no big worry. My last favorite, and this is my most favorite nursing bra, is from Target. And I really like it because I feel like it's flattering. It's like kind of cute, you know, not super cute, but cuter than some of these other bras. I just like that it doesn't have like a padding, but it still is like a little bit padded and it holds a shape. So yeah, this one from Target is probably my favorite. Lastly, I just wanted to say that you guys got this. Nursing can be really hard and stressful, and it oftentimes feels very lonely, but it doesn't have to be that way. I feel like we should talk about nursing more, breastfeeding more, and talk about the benefits, talk about how difficult it is, and really help lift each other up. Nursing really made me wish that I had an older sister to talk about who had experienced it, and luckily I have some really awesome sister-in-laws that I am able to talk to about nursing and all things babies. But I really hope that this video helps any of you guys who may feel alone on this journey. You're not alone. You can do this. You got this. I hope that some of these tips were able to help you. If you decide nursing isn't for you, that's okay too. Like, you and your baby are going to be happy. You are going to be able to figure it out. And I know that as you guys work together, you can find a very happy medium place. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you liked this video, and if you did, please like and subscribe. Comment down below if you have any other breastfeeding tips and tricks, things that have worked for you. I would love to read them and implement them into my own breastfeeding journey. I hope you all are doing well, and I will talk to you later. Bye.